Hello and welcome back. Today I want to talk about why it is that CPD, professional development in schools, must go deeper. We're going to be considering rhythm, executive function, and the future of reading fluency for those lower attaining children. Now, first of all, let's begin with the hidden barriers beneath reading. So we know that there is a certain amount of tension between the aspirations that you as a school leader might have for your school and also the implementation. And reading actually sits at the heart of all of this. It's a gateway to the curriculum, and also it's a measure of inclusion. Yet in too many schools, the challenge of reading fluency persists for many of these children. So for lots of them, they're still decoding mechanically, and for them, comprehension remains out of reach. The new inspection toolkit calls for rigorous and sequenced teaching of reading that is going to develop pupils' fluency, confidence, and enjoyment. But as we all know, fluency is far more than speed. It's also a reflection of rhythm, attention, and understanding, syntax and semantics, and decoding all working together. So fluency in reading begins long before school starts. It begins in the rhythm of speech and play and the patterns of call and response, and in the turn taking of those early conversations. And these foundations, which are so natural in early life for most children, are also the first to fragment if those foundations have not been quite secure enough. And this is when we see attention faltering and when executive functions are also under strain in the classroom. So rhythm is also, to some extent, an architectural aspect of learning. It's absolutely not decorative. In terms of our bodies, it's actually physiological. In terms of language, it's also very structural. So the rules of grammar have got a really rhythmic aspect to them. Rhythm helps to organize sound, it structures time, and also it helps to maintain steady attention, because that's very much aligned with what's happening with the structure of sentences. When rhythm is strong, executive functions are in alignment, and working memory holds information long enough for comprehension to actually take place. The inhibitory control of executive function supports focus and also attentional control, and the cognitive flexibility that is also a core part of executive function allows pupils to adapt to syntax and meaning. When a child has weak sensitivity to rhythm, fluency remains at a sort of mechanical stage, and comprehension is also very weak. This is why the teaching of reading and CPD that supports it must go deeper than the conventional methods that we've had so far. Although those are great, and since I've been researching reading, I've seen a massive transformation after the introduction of systematic synthetic phonics, there is still more to be done. At its core, rhythm is what gives reading its flow and its prosody and its meaning. And rhythm is very much the bridge between phonemic awareness and understanding. So we can also talk about how to spot the rhythmically hesitant child. For some people, this is really intuitive. They know immediately. And for others, sometimes I have to explain what this might look like. So let's go for it. Every classroom holds pupils who have reading that seems fast but pretty empty, or very effortful and not at all fast, halting and stuttering. The pace differs between these two groups, but the result is absolutely the same, because comprehension never lifts off the ground. And once teachers know what they are looking for, they can spot the rhythmically hesitant child with ease. This is not just the child who pauses mid-sentence and loses track of structure and who guesses words when working memory is faltering. This is also the child looking around the classroom, the child who doesn't really know what everybody else is supposed to be doing, including them. This is the child who needs to have the instructions repeated to them. You might be saying, so are we talking about a child with specific learning difficulties? Not necessarily. I think it's both and, actually. So children who are not yet sensitive to rhythm may be neurodivergent. They may be children who are emotionally a little bit faltering, or socially a little bit faltering. They may be the children who've got, yes, perhaps some cognitive weaknesses in the area of working memory or access to executive functions. So none of these things are actually signs of disinterest or lack of ability. They're just indicators of what happens when executive functions are not really working under their full capacity. And this is why CPD must go deeper. If rhythm is to support the foundations of fluency, then CPD for the teaching of reading needs to reflect that. For school leaders, this is more than a literacy issue, I should think. It's more likely to be a question of access to the curriculum, a measure of inclusion, and also curriculum qualities. It means that you're actually preventing problems further down the line, and it means that there's access and equity for all these children who may have, low sensitivity to rhythm unless you actually help them with that. So this CPD approach speaks to these new inspection priorities that call for a reduction to the barriers of learning. They call for securing strong foundations in communication and reading, and also building collective expertise through evidence-informed professional development. And all of that is available with rhythm-based CPD. I make no apology for offering a 30-week course. You don't have to do it in one school year. I mean, you can start at the beginning of any of the 3 terms and then follow through. But essentially what I want to do is to make sure that all the richness of the learning is shared with all the teachers. That is why I do this. So what does all of this mean for leaders? Well, the opportunity here is to align inclusion, curriculum and professional learning within one coherent approach. Rhythm-based online CPD offers a framework for embedding evidence-based fluency work across classrooms and phases. It's measurable, it's sustainable, and it's grounded in research on rhythm and cognition. So we have a landscape actually that is sort of saturated with short-term fixes. And what I'm offering here is much deeper work. This is something that does not place a huge amount of workload on the teachers because we do it in tiny little bursts on a weekly basis. So it's not going to be onerous. So in this deeper work, what we're doing is we're restoring sensitivity to rhythm that will be there. Human beings are sensitive to rhythm. That's how we develop language, for example. And also, of course, this rebalances the foundations of literacy. So here's a reflective invitation for you, my dear viewers and listeners. If your current CPD focus touches on fluency, inclusion, or foundational literacy, you may find it valuable to explore how rhythm-based approaches strengthen phonemic awareness and executive function. At the same time, we're building confidence and precision and ease. All of these things underpin fluent reading, and that's hugely important. I'll be reflecting further on these ideas in my reward system webinar. This is a live session on Thursday where I'll be exploring rhythm and attention and the architecture of reading. So if this resonates with your school's priorities and the journey that your school is on right now, you'd be so warmly welcome to join the conversation, and I can't wait to connect with you there. Thank you so much for staying with me right to the end. Have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.